Hey guys, Christopher here. In today's movie recap, we're going to discover what happens when you become a Russian spy.
They will never let you go.
The film begins with our two main characters, Dominika and Nate. The film takes place in modern-day Russia. Dominika is listening to music, while Nate is tuning into a coded recording. As Nate decrypts the code and removes the weapon from underneath his desk, Dominika arrives at the theater and begins to apply makeup. Dominika is a famous ballerina, and as she begins to perform, we see Nate going to meet his Russian mole named Marble. The classical music playing over the scenes begins to intensify, as does the situation for our two characters. Nate is confronted by the police. Nate fires a shot to create a distraction for his mole. Nate is chased through town, where he managed to make it to the US Embassy. Dominika is lifted up and spun through the air by her partner. As he goes to put her down, he drops her and she lands terribly. Nate drops to the floor and surrenders at the same time. As Dominika falls and breaks her ankle, we meet Dominika's uncle Ivan, who is the deputy director. They come visit Dominika to offer her a job to work with him. He also gives her a photograph of her target, kissing the girl who replaced Dominika in the ballet. Dominika understands that she was dropped on purpose and goes to confront her partner. She walks into the theater to find out the two ballet leads were having sex in the bathroom. Dominika beats them both violently with her walking stick and leaves. When Dominika leaves, she returns home. Her mother is on the floor and unable to get up. After this situation, Dominika takes the job. She will have to do this so she can take care of her mother. We see Dominika getting dressed up as her uncle voices relays instructions about the job. Her first task is to seduce a man named Dmitri for information. But when they go to his room, he begins to rape her. As this is happening, another agent enters the room. The agent begins strangling Dmitri with a piece of wire and ends up killing him. Dmitri's blood drips onto Dominika, who is taken away by the agent. Dominika is given two choices: to train as an agent or be killed for witnessing a murder of Dmitri. Dominika is sent to state school so she can train as a Red Sparrow. Dominika meets a lady who tells her that in case she cannot benefit her to her state, she will put a bullet through her head. As instruction begins, Dominika is called upon by her teacher, along with the boy named Victor. Dominika's teacher tells her to strip in front of the class along with Victor, and Victor complies and Dominika refuses. Meanwhile, Nate is back in Washington for some questioning. They suspend Nate for foreign assignments that he was working on. Nate argues that he'd been working with his mole Marble for about 3 years, and he won't work with anybody else but Nate. Dominika's training proceeded with exercises such as shooting, bolt picking, and learning how different substances can be followed. Dominika excels in her class. Nate's still in questioning with the CIA. Nate tells him that he has a tail, which makes him believe that Marble is still alive. As Nate explains this, the CIA is still unable to contact Marble. They give Nate one more chance to meet up with Marble in Budapest. The CIA want Nate to get communication with Marble so they can make sure everything's okay. At Sparrow School, Dominika's teacher explains the main reason and the purpose of the Red Sparrow. She explains that every human being is a puzzle with a missing piece. A Red Sparrow must establish the real need of the other person and become that missing piece. Some of these students are returning soldiers and are assigned a task to take care of their needs. Dominika takes a quiet boy and takes her to her room. Later, when Dominika is showering, a fellow sparrow walks in and tries to rape her. Dominika rips off the shower handle and begins to beat him. Dominika's uncle, Ivan, is in a meeting with her senior members. They begin discussing stuff about Nate. They are aware that Nate will be trying to establish contact with their mole, and they are so prepared to send in another agent to establish a mole identity. Even though Dominika has caused a lot of friction with her teacher, also the refusal to obey orders, she's given an assignment in Budapest. She must get close to Nate and establish trust and find the mole. Dominika moves into an apartment alongside of another agent called Martha. Dominika is quick and she establishes contact with Nate. Nate realizes that Dominika is a Russian spy. Dominika inspects Martha's room and discovers that she is assigned to buy classified intelligence from senior U.S. staff member Stephanie. Nate invites Dominika to dinner, but instead she waits for him outside for him to leave. Dominika then follows him back to his apartment to get him to talk about the incident in the park that we witnessed at the beginning of the movie. Dominika gets contacted by her uncle Ivan. Dominika tells Ivan that she's building trust with Nate and she received information about that night in the park. Ivan asks Dominika why is she not working quicker. Dominika tells her uncle Ivan that she's helping Martha with her assignment. When Dominika returns to her apartment, Martha has been brutally murdered for sharing details about her assignment with Dominika. Dominika is threatened with the same results if she fails to deliver information. After the situation, Dominika goes to Nate and tells him everything what happened. Nate offers Dominika a position in the CIA to work with them. He tells Dominika that he will never treat her like her uncle does. Dominika is put under a lie detector test to see if she has given any information to the CIA. Dominika swaps the intelligence for fake discs to give to the Russians. She finishes task, but as soon as she finishes, she leaves the hotel. She's captured by the Russians and taken home, and then begin torturing Dominika. She's then asked if she gave any Russian intelligence to the Americans. The first time she says no, she is stripped naked. They lock her hands and tie her to the ceiling. Water pours down on Dominika, and then they begin playing heavy metal music. The second time Dominika says no, this time she's beating with a hammer on her legs, her arms, and her head. Dominika says the same answer again. This is the final chance they give her. This time they point a gun behind her head. When the trigger is pulled, it becomes clear that it wasn't loaded. Ivan enters the room to speak with Dominika. He tells her that he can only provide so much protection for her. Dominika responds by telling her uncle was this part of his strategy. Ivan responded he wanted to make sure the Americans believe her credibility and he needed to get her a reason to make sure Nate trusts her. Now that Dominika has been tortured, Nate will have to trust her, Ivan replied. Dominika asks her uncle to let her go back to see Nate. At this point, we don't know whose side is she on anymore. Upon Dominika's return to Budapest, she's reunited with Nate. They embrace each other and start caring for each other and begin to make love. However, in the middle of the night, Dominika is awakened. She notices that Nate is not sleeping next to her no longer. She walks out in the kitchen where she sees Nate tied to a chair. An agent that works with Dominika is torturing him. At first we see shock on Dominika's face, but she knows what's up. So she goes back to her distant look so the agent doesn't get any suspicion about Dominika. Dominika offers to help the agent by peeling off slices of Nate's skin so she can extract information from Nate. Nate yells in pain, but Dominika continues. As Dominika builds trust between the agent, he lets down his guard long enough so she can free Nate and attack the agent. The both of them work together to bring down the Russian agent, but not without sustaining wounds and injuries themselves. As Dominika recovers in the hospital, it looks like it's all over for her. Dominika blows her cover to the Russian by saying Nate's life and she has no further cards to play. The Russian general talks to Dominika about the man they have, seen to be steadfast and intimidating throughout the movie. Just as all hope is lost, the general makes a shocking confession that he is the mole. The general is impressed by Dominika's work ethic and dedication. He wants her to give him up in order to gain the full trust of the Russian. He tells Dominika that she can take over his role as the mole and by giving Russian intelligence to the USA. The general is ready to accept his fate and awaits arrival of the Russians coming to kill him. A team of Russians and Americans gather on the airfield to trade moles. Nate holds on to Dominika's arm and asks how she was able to give up the mole so easily. Nate's very disappointed in Dominika's decision. We see Marble step out the helicopter with a bag over his head. Nate continues to express his disappointment by telling Dominika that the Russians will never let them take Marble alive. Dominika tells Nate that one day he'll understand what she has done, but Nate remains disappointed. Nate replies to Dominika that he will not because he's not in the habit of throwing people away. Dominika begins to move towards the Russians, Marble towards the Americans. All that's left is to Nate to confirm the identity of the mole. The bag is lifted, and in a huge final twist, we see that the mole isn't the Russian general, it's actually Ivan, Dominika's uncle. We cut to a flashback, and we see that Dominika has worked for a long time to implicate her uncle, removing a glass from Nate and placing it in Ivan's apartment, and also opening a bank account in Ivan's name to receive the CIA's money. There's a look of resignation on Ivan's face and as he passes from Dominika. Dominika responds to her uncle, "You should have killed me, but didn't I do well, uncle?" They walk past each other, but as Ivan approaches the Americans, he is shot dead. The Russians grab Dominika, who is in shock, and push her into the helicopter. Later in the movie, Dominika is receiving the Medal of Honor from the Russian. The Russian general gives Dominika a head nod and applauds everybody. Dominika returns home to look after her mother. Dominika receives a phone call. There's no voice, only the sound of classical ballet music, which makes her smiles. Thank you guys for watching Crazy Pooh's movie recap. Crazy Pooh out.